Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Off Air podcast. It's, of course, time for another monthly rewind here on the channel. And, of course, joining me today is channel regular Sean Skur. Good evening, Sean.
Hello.
And good afternoon slash evening, Nigel. How are you?
Hello there.
So, cracking on to things, of course, we usually have a bit of a routine. We tried to switch things up a little bit in the last couple of podcasts for this season. And instead of just going through game by game, we're going to take some of the highlights from the month in terms of the things that are coming up quite regularly and the kind of bigger issues and not necessarily issues, but sometimes better things around the club. And there's been a lot of better things going on of late. October was a very, very good month indeed, all round. Unbeaten. The unbeaten streak does continue, and we did have 7 games in this month of October. 4 wins, 3 draws in that time, 9 goals scored, and 2 goals conceded. So, pretty good showing from George's young chaps. Very inexperienced squad, but now starting to gain that experience together, and it's clearly coming together a lot better than some people would have imagined. So, yeah, very good all around. And the first thing we're going to talk about is that unbeaten streak. So, Sean, 11 games in now, obviously 7 games this month unbeaten, and in that time, 7 wins, 3 draws, and another win against Chesham in the cup as well, which we're going to stick on the end of this one. Of course, that was in November, but obviously we're going to tie that into this podcast as by the title. It's been a really good period, hasn't it, for the Stones?
It's been a really good period for the Stones, and obviously for pedants, yes, it is 6 from October. We're sticking the Chesham one in because we needed to speak about Chesham as soon as it happened. Frankly, we're recording this the evening after, the day after Chesham result, which. Yeah, I've been very fortunate to commentate on 5 of those 6 games for Stones Live in October, and then obviously the only one I didn't get to commentate on was the Farnborough one. And as a spectator, I don't have a very good record, to be fair. But when you say not a very good record and it's only a draw, and as you say quite rightly, 11 games without a defeat now for Maidstone since the Aveley game at home. Pretty much, yeah, 2 months ago to the day now, isn't it? Yeah, exactly 2 months ago since then. So, yeah, for Maidstone, absolutely fantastic run. 25 without a win at the end of last season. All the do-mongers, possibly rightly so in some senses, because it's such a, real hard steer to try and, right the ship, the direction of it, because it was only going in one way. And there's so many sides that just carry on free falling. You only have to look at the likes of York and Stockport coming down in recent years. Obviously, Stockport very much in the opposite direction of that. York still trying to prevent themselves going down to National League North again for them. So it's just that we've always said about, a double bounce up, double bounce down. And it could have been fearful with that Maidstone because there's so many clubs investing heavily, so many clubs investing heavily below us who we may or may not see at some point in the FA Cup, depending on how second round tie goes. For Maidstone, the run that we've been on, just not conceding goals, playing really well, getting us, staying. The league position has slipped up and down, but there's so few points between everybody in that playoff area at the moment. It's probably about 2 or 3 points, sort of, third or fourth, all the way down to 8th, 9th, 10th at the moment.
Yeah, if I think if we win our games in hand, we can go into third. So it's really tight. It is really tight. Just
About
a few
five other,
points.
it's probably about 5 other teams in the same position, though. To be fair,
Yeah,
with the missing games, I think we only had about half of the league program yesterday while we were at the Meadow, playing along there. So yeah, just proper results, proper community, and respect between the professionals at the club. Those players all getting on really well. Nigel and myself, before we left, bumped into probably about a third of the squad, I think, on the way out, and they were very, very jovial, as you would be getting to the second round of the FA Cup. Something that Maidstone have done fairly regularly, you could say now. Some interesting stats we'd heard about how we'd done in the past. I think it was 16 wins out of 19 first round ties that
Mhm.
Maidstone had well, including yesterday now. But then, of course, the flip side of that is we've only ever been to the third round twice. So you do the simple math, it's 14 out of 16 defeats in the second round. So I did say yesterday that you wonder, would a defeat yesterday have knocked the confidence? Yes, possibly. But at the same time, you could still see Maidstone potentially going through November unbeaten again still. It's a better position than we've been in at any point of this number of games in National League South season since we've reformed, with more points and higher up the table than we have been, compared to those previous promotions that we've had, and even the main COVID season that got postponed after Eastbourne back in March 2020. So yeah, I think all things considered, I think we're in a very, very strong position relative to where we have been, and we just know that we're perennial at this. And we're always going to be Mo Farahing the absolute living daylights out of it, being there, getting to that final 400 meters, and just try and head to the front and go from there. And we're fine sitting in the pack. I'm not as far back as Mo, obviously, but in the middle somewhere, trying to eat up some of the heat from the others. But again, going well, going strong, and yeah, to still be in the cup, which, as I've always said, money, build the infrastructure, away we go. That's my main thing for this season. Of course, I want to see us promoted, but if you put Devil's Avocado in front of me, which you want, it would have to be an FA Cup run and a big tie ahead of promotion. Just to put that out there, I can't remember your two opinions on
Should
that.
have mentioned that before, have you, Phil? You should have mentioned that.
Oh, well, I might have done. I might have done. You'd be surprised. I'm probably the only one out of the three of us who hasn't actually got the tinfoil FA Cup. So, but we all have surprises. We all have them too. So, yeah, it's I mean, it's a podcast. It's the FA Cup just happened. I have to mention it because it's absolutely blooming true. It's more massive for Maidstone longer term because Chesham got their lovely, great area that they're in. Brilliant to have Alex on board and involved with the club. Even flip page 2 of their program, you've got the Taskmaster there and little Alex Horn. All that stuff's great for that club, and for the whole time he's going to be there. I do hope they're going to be successful, and a great bunch at that club as well. So, hello to everybody there again after yesterday, and thanks on behalf of all three of us. We were all working there yesterday in our usual hobbying for different guises, and yeah, it's getting to the FA Cup, big for them, even bigger for us because yeah, it's the thing that gets us, top third of National League, bottom third of League Two in the next 5 years, without the outside investment, of course, because the club will always, in its current guise, stick between the bottom third of the National League and the top third of National League South. So if you want a whole division higher than that, give us a couple of thousand more seats, £500,000 going to Old Trafford and getting rained on, and I mean potentially getting a result there. Who knows?
Well, I think at the moment you never know.
So yeah, Maidstone strong. Sorry, Nigel. Maidstone strong, decent run. Couldn't be happier at the moment, to be honest, with them.
Yeah,
Going
yeah.
great.
I think things are looking quite sweet at the moment. Even Aaron Sibby has become a bit of a hero again after the Chesham game, man of the match. I think in many people's eyes, a goal and assist, and a lot of zero to heroes I'm seeing on the various Maidstone United fan social media platforms. So it's good to see that even the players who have been receiving some criticism in recent weeks have managed to kind of get everybody back on side. So yeah, very good vibes all around at the moment. And Nigel, obviously, as we've been talking about, this unbeaten streak is going on for quite a while now. We've got a good couple games coming up, which could prove to be a test. We've got Eastbourne, Hampton, Dover, potentially a little tricky banana skin there. Dartford away, of course, in the cup. What do you think is key to maintaining this unbeaten streak? Do you think there's kind of philosophy to it, or do you think that we just got to keep doing what we're doing, or do you think maybe we might kind of run dry in the end?
No, I don't think so. It's obvious that just by listening to George's interviews and seeing the training videos, they're very much horses for courses. And we've seen that. We've said it before in podcasts, haven't we? The formation and how we set up is not the same every week. Even yesterday when we got the team sheet, you're going through it and some of the oppositions, and we were talking about it with Matt on Radio Kent, weren't we? Trying to
Yeah.
work out the formation, how they start. You can't predict it because you just don't know how it's gonna set up. We were talking yesterday about where we think DeGraff's going to play. He plays this season on the left hand side, played on the right hand side, sort of that more central role behind the front two. So that's a good sign. It proves that we're actually looking at the opposition, we're analysing the opposition, and we're doing stuff to sort of combat that. And also, we haven't really. I mean, we said it at the beginning of the season, but we haven't really had a settled back 4/3/5, whatever formation you want to play. Greenwich's just been in and out. Tien's Nolly's been in and out. Periods of time, and when you can get people like Aaron Sibu, who admittedly that's not his natural position, but it's a work in progress, and you can see that they're trying to work that. And with Liam Solar again as well, playing on that right hand side, that's not his natural position, but he's doing a job for the team, and you can see that they're all playing for the manager, they're playing for the teammates and the rest of the squad, those that are injured, and it's just that togetherness. And like Sean said, when we left last night, they was all sort of bantering to, that banter's there, which, there doesn't seem to be any sort of click or anything. They're all there in it, yeah, smiley faces and everything, and also I know we're going to come on to it shortly, but we're still looking to improve the squad. We're not going on the fact that, oh, this is the squad we've got, and we're bringing players in, and we're looking to just move it on really. And this FA Cup run can only help. I think Coughlin, I've said it before as well. He's been, and you said it, Joe, and he's the best goalkeeper in the National League. I think Joe Day at Yeovil's having quite a good season, but then he's on loan from Newport, I believe. But just again, that yesterday, that game right at the end there, what was it, the 87th minute when that free kick went in, made that
Top left,
save.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. If that could have gone in, then we'd have had a nervy last 6 or 7 minutes where they had just put bodies in the box, and it could have been a very different story. But just the way that we controlled the game yesterday, it wasn't spectacular, and that it's not going to make many highlight reels when you look back at some of the results and the goals that were going in yesterday. But it's a professional performance, another clean sheet, getting the job done, and that seems to be the mantra of this team, isn't it? Just getting that job done, no frills, but it does exactly what it said on the tin. People expect us to be in and around that top positions, and at the moment we're delivering. So long may it continue.
Yeah, I think just having that overall consistency, isn't it, is the main thing. I mean, Maidstone aren't the most exciting team in the league. We are just a team which goes out, gets the jobs done, comes home, celebrates a victory in most cases. And I think most fans would be very happy with that. Obviously, as the season progresses, as we will go on to a little bit later, we might see a few new incomings, and we might see them contribute to a little bit more flair and excitement going forward. But for me, the main thing which is really proven to be kind of the kind of most important factor for this team at the moment is the defence. And like Nigel said, we've not really had too much in terms of consistency at the back, but we've had 5 out of 7 clean sheets in our last 7 games, conceded 2 goals in that time as well, 1 in each game against Farnborough and Western Supermare. Sorry, Nigel?
So they're both penalties as well, so we haven't conceded broken play.
So
they're both penalties. So,
yeah, we're looking really, really good at the back, and that's without, Reece Greenwich playing for the vast majority of the season. Chias and Olim the same as well, and both of those players are players who I think most fans would consider, kind of nailed on starters. But when you've got the likes of Rafe Brown and Harry Cipriano in the side, who have been, nothing short of fantastic for me this season, then it doesn't really look like Maidstone are going to falter too much at the back. And obviously with Coughlin being that consistent leader from the back, it doesn't really matter who's in front of him, to be honest. I mean, you can stick anybody there. I'm comfortable with it. And I think that's something which we've needed for quite a while, especially after last season. So really, really happy with that. And Sean, in terms of that defence, obviously at the start of the season, we did look at the defence as a whole and the depth that we had there and the potential quality and depth maybe not being there in terms of just really having Rafe Brown at the back as kind of a backup for 3 or 4 positions along the back line. That he's maintained his fitness, and we've obviously brought Cipriano in as well. And obviously Greenwich has been back for a little bit, but in and out of the side. Do you think that this Maidstone defence is kind of set in its ways now? Do you think we've got like a nailed on team at the back, or do you think there may still be a couple more additions needed here and there as the season progresses?
I think probably as the season progresses, because I mean, you're not going to have the luck the whole season through. There will be the odd loan that's going to need to come in. Certainly, they've not been too profligate in the loan market, Maidstone. They've, I mean, everybody that signed has been on a contract basis. So the changes they tried to make last season are probably partially going to help with that. But going through in all these competitions as well, that's going to help, sort of lubricate the funding into the playing squad, which is probably, from an ownership perspective and probably from a fan perspective as well, in a sense, probably the most important thing besides the FA Cup run is getting back into the National League. That's the most important thing for a club and a fan base of our size. So in terms of, do we need any more additions? No, I genuinely don't think so, because that addition of before Cipriano had signed, I would have said yes. And if someone had thrown Cipriano my way, I would have bitten your bloody hand off, quite frankly, because he is the absolute Paul Warhurst of this side. Wherever you need to stick the man, he'll go and bloody do something. He'll go there. Like he said in the interviews post-match a few weeks ago, one of the 7 Torquay games we had, felt like anyway. One of the post matches he did there, he said, stick me in goal, stick me up front, I don't care, I just want to play. And it's that sort of attitude. And it was, you could see when I think we bumped into him when he turned up yesterday, smile on his face. Didn't even need to. He didn't come on yesterday, did he? I don't think. So, and again, shows you the depth that Maidstone have got at the back, is that someone like Cipriano can stay benched for 90 minutes yesterday. Set piece wise, may we have missed him in the first half hour? Potentially, maybe, because I mean, Brown come on for the last half hour at Weston-super-Mare, for example, the previous weekend. And obviously, other than the shirt pulling, which I'll probably get on to mention when we talk about Player of the Month near the end of this recording, Brown, that last half hour, as soon as that penalty went in and he came on, he was absolutely electric. I said it on air yesterday that nobody beats Rafe Brown in a foot race and gets away with it. I think it's probably like it was about the 93rd minute, wasn't it? I think he got beaten at the end, and then he still had the legs long enough to
he chopped someone,
and put it out for a corner instead. So I felt fairly justified in being confident in Rafe. I've not been, there's a few in the back for Maidstone that I'm not too confident of their ball playing skills, and I don't mean anything by that. I just always say, if you've got a strength, stick to doing that, and having Rafe Brown on the right side of defence rather than left is probably better. And Cipriano is probably slightly better suited as a left centre back, like Reece Greenwich has been as well, for this 5 at the back. And that's also the issue, because you think if you've got 5 defenders playing every game, then you might stretch the capability of the squad that you've got in terms of your defence. But because we've got the likes of Sol and Aaron Sibia playing fullbacks, you've potentially got 2 or 3 spare defenders that you aren't always playing, and they're always chomping at the bit to get in, but they're also happy to help pass on their expertise to their colleagues and help improve each other's games, the bits that each one of them lack. And they're able to, the management team, Project Kobe, they're able to look at these players and say, well, going up against that type of winger, it's probably better to have this centre-back in there who can do this rather than that one who plays the ball better, does this. So they've got a lot of options, have Maidstone at the back. And proof is very much in the pudding as we get close to the festive season. And the clean sheets, I think we had 7 all of last season. We had our 8th one of this season yesterday when we beat Chesham. So as we keep saying, everything's better than last season already, and we've still got 6 months of the season to go. So yeah, just keep ending every bit that I'm going to say with it's going all right. It's much better than last year.
I would also add to that the bringing Sam Bone into that defensive midfield position.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think you said that about Coverland, and he directing traffic at the back, but he had to act as that shield and
Yeah.
just stop that constant flow of traffic coming through the defence. And we haven't yet mentioned the postman, have we? Levi Manchi. All the time he's scoring goals, and it took him 10 minutes yesterday before he come on and scored a goal. You know, it that helps the defence as well. If you're already a goal up, you're not under as much pressure as if you're a goal down and chasing the game. So all round, I think the team is just buying into George's mantra, and Craig and the rest of the management team. They're all part of that. Craig obviously working with the forwards, and George being a Premier League centre defensive player. They've all got their skill sets, and like you say with the players, stick to what you know. It all come together, put it in a melting pot, and you get what you get, and that's a winning outfit that's up there challenging. So long may it continue.
Indeed, and that goes back to my point of saying about the defence, because you can categorise Sambone as a defender, but he has
Mm.
made that position in central midfield. The two Sams, certainly in the last 2 or 3 games, the pair of them in the middle there, they're able to dovetail with one another. And you've always got Sam Bone to potentially go back in central defence whenever he's needed. So that's the other reason to then say, Joe, that we probably don't need to go into the market unless something really urgent happens in our back line, because you've got those players who can play in several different positions. It's not just Kipriano, you've got Bone who can do that as well.
Yeah, we've got a lot of versatility in the squad, which is something we've lacked for a lot of points last season. I think we really just was putting square pegs and round holes for various amounts of last season, especially during a similar period, this winter period last time round. We was really struggling to kind of fill gaps, weren't we? We was having Bivesh being forced into the back line most weeks and all sorts of things going on, which didn't really end up too pretty for us on the whole. But on to the next topic. Of course, we've covered defence there, but we're going to go into the attack now. And the main man Nigel referenced there, Levi Manchi. 5 goals in his last 7 games. Like Nigel said, just took him 10 minutes to score coming on against Chesham. And it's just the way that he does things. I mean, myself and Nigel said this on the commentary for the Chesham game. Unfortunately, wasn't live. Fortunately, in some cases, due to Nigel's slip of the tongue during the recording, but we won't go into that. We've all been there. But well, I've been there. But yeah, so Levi is just he can't stop, and I don't think he will stop. I can't see how teams stop him. It's just the things that he does on the pitch is so unconventional but so effective. And I said this yesterday during the Chesham game that he was running through, and I just couldn't see a way that they stopped him just because of his size and his pace and his ability of his feet. He's just got a combination of things which you just wouldn't associate with someone of his build. Unfortunately, is quite stereotypical, but it does obviously play into his favour because a lot of teams probably aren't expecting that when they do come up against him. And Nigel, when it comes to Levi, obviously there has been concerns. We've already seen Alfie Pavey move up into the National League, was the top scorer in the division at the time. Do you think there's a risk of that happening with Levi, or do you think he's quite, comfortable in where he is right now? Obviously, already scored more goals this season than he did last season. For was it Brackley and Braintree?
Yeah.
So he's obviously performing a lot better here. He's got a very good team, and he's been given that opportunity to excel. So, do you think there's any risk of a potential flight there, or do you think that you might be in this for the long run?
Oh, there's always a potential risk. I mean, if he goes to Old Trafford and bangs an hat trick, then obviously he's going to have players looking at him, isn't he? So, but hopefully, it's sort of like he's at a club now. No disrespect to the likes of Brackley and Braintree, but if he's scoring the goals, then we're going to progress as well. Like we
Mhm.
were saying back there. we've got an all-round squad. It's not just about him, although he's the one at the moment that's banging in all the goals. And as we said, long may it continue. But for him to have those chances, there's a lot of work that goes on underneath. It's like the swan in the lake. There's a lot of work going on underneath behind that. And he's got a good support team around him that's letting him excel at the top of the pitch. And I know we're going to come on to it again and probably jumping the gun a little bit, but we've got Matt Rushing, and he's played with him as well. He played with him last season at Braintree, so he's got somebody there to potentially give him more ammunition to do what he does. I mean, we've all said it, haven't we? It's just like you can just tell that there's something there about him. He's got the all-round package really, and he's excelling at this level. So I've no doubt that the scouts will be circling, but all the time that we're winning and we're successful, then hopefully we can sort of stop that. So we'll see how it goes. But what I would say to a lot of Stones fans, enjoy it while you can, because it's we all rave about it. On the forums that you're looking for a 20-season goal striker, and we all say they don't grow on trees. So when you get one, and I think as well that just adds to our scouting network, isn't it? You can look at these rough diamonds, and if you're getting these players and they're coming in, then if he does go off, then you'd have more faith in getting somebody in behind him to come in and bed into the team and do what he does. So I think it's just the all round package, isn't it? And just enjoy it.
Yeah, there's obviously going to be players out there who Maidstone maybe would have been looking at the time of Levi and didn't bring in, and went for him instead. But there's also going to be new players and new opportunities that will come up if players like Levi are to move on. And it's important that, like you say, Nigel, we just savour it whilst it lasts, because for as good as he is, obviously the sky's the limit for players like Levi. A lot of talent and still very young. Sean, looking at our striking success, we've had a bit of striking, not as much success, not to sound too critical. That's probably the nicest way I could word it. And this month we saw Ogo Obi go out on loan. Obviously that's the first transfer out of the season. It's nothing major, but it obviously shows that sometimes the glove doesn't always fit, or the shoe doesn't always fit. And it does mean that you can't always hit the target with signings. I think that's important to remember. But overall, it's looked pretty good so far, hasn't it? And I think this one was just maybe wrong place, wrong time.
Potentially, I mean, because the chap Ogobi, he's in a very similar mould to Solwanja Smith, who I must admit yesterday did have a good game again for Maidstone. I think it was something we discussed post match, the three of us at the ground. It was
just to quickly interrupt, Sean. He's messaged me to you, so he messaged me for calling him out on the highlights for missing that cross across the box. So, but no, it's fine. I had it out with him. It's fine. But continue.
That was a good chance, and that was pretty much what I was about to get onto and say.
He couldn't reach it.
Yeah, well, and again, I think I said on the BBC commentary with Matt, I said that, I mean, the thing that Levi brings, and it was the same with Barham last season, he brings about an extra foot.
Yeah. That's a Levi delivery, isn't it?
Exactly. And so that sort of ball in, Sol just ever so slightly behind it. It's annoying for him, it's annoying for all of us, but it's, again, it wasn't just
not the end of the world.
Exactly, it's not the end of the world, and they proved that yesterday. And like we keep saying, everybody brings their own different things to this. Potentially you could say the ball wasn't good enough. If you want to go the other way and call them out, call out someone differently. But so not able to get a toe on the end of that one. His performance probably would have deserved that yesterday as well. He was such an effective runner in behind so often. A couple of great free balls again, like he had at Welling, like he had at Weston recently as well. He's been coming a bit deeper and playing some good balls through. Because, again, it's for a chap of his size, and the same for Ogo, it's difficult to lead the line and try and hold that ball up. Every time that Sol is facing his own defenders and midfielders, having to stop that ball and then play it off, it's quite difficult when you've not got the biggest of frames. When he's running through and having the ball played through to him and getting in on goal, like we saw with that cross, like we saw with a couple of balls through in the first half, he's very, very effective, and that's the sort of dynamism that Wanjal had. But it was a game that was crying out for Levi yesterday, and the management team were able to make that change, and that's why they were able to leave Levi on the bench, get the goal from a cross that wasn't a header, which we've had quite a few of them this season. It's not always lumping it to the big guy and being able to play through the thirds, get up the sides. But that game did cry out for Levi to finish it off and come on and hold up that ball and be able to play it a bit more facing away from goal and to bring everybody else into play. And that obviously turned out the way it did. One thing to point out is that the goal he scored yesterday, for a reminder of how that goes, the Worthing game where he scored literally the same goal, airborne, volleying it, smashing it up into the roof of the net from about 6 yards, managing to get that ball there, and a ridiculous touch. So yes, we'll blow smoke up the proverbial of Levi, of course, because he's scoring all those goals. So Andrew Smith, Ogo Obi offer different things. Sol's been in form. He's played well for Maidstone. The FA Cup has been an absolute treasure trove for Mr. Angel Smith. The loan move for Ogo, it's not the be all and end all. As soon as you go out on loan, everybody thinks, it's the death of them. They're never again. The guy's had terrific form at Chesham, and he's done a lot of things for them there. You know, some goals and some assists in a team that is as high up the league as Maidstone is. I think they're third from memory. In their division. Not that I printed the right stuff off for my comms yesterday, to be fair. I printed off bloody stuff. That's all in here rather than written down. But, hopefully the next time I'm on the air, I'll have the right paperwork for Dartford, and I won't be reporting about the bleeding Dover match or something. I'm on Eastbourne for the BBC. That's it. So hopefully I'll have the proper Eastbourne papers up written up. But anyway, we all need loan moves. We all need to go somewhere else to try and improve, don't we? I suppose technically looking at that,
Spurs on loan at bloody
Spurs on
BBC.
loan at the Beeb, exactly, yeah, as you do. But yeah, it's making sure you read your papers and bring the right ones to the game, because technically we were the wrong team at the game. We should have been Maidstone Town according to the FA. So we all get our papers wrong. We all get our papers wrong sometimes.
The magic of the cup.
Magic of the cup, exactly. I can't remember if I said that yesterday. I don't know if you two did. We should have done. Ogo having his loan move, it will improve him. It will get him game time, because he was getting bitty 20-30 minute bits here and there. Wasn't able to do much because it's just in that mould, and then a lot of the time it would be him and Sol would be up front. Potentially it will be Ogo on his own, not building up the relationship with Levi. So harsh on Ogo. He's very close to his loan month being done. I think
so. Yeah, another week.
I think Hampton and Richmond game he might be available for Maidstone. Potentially, I'm sure it was the 10th that he went. So with it being a month, so it'd be good to have him back in the fold. But obviously, as we've already mentioned, there are other people that have been brought into the fold. Not only have you got the likes of Wenham on the bench yesterday, who could be used up front, and other midfield players who could be played further forward, but of course, as you're probably about to go on to now, Joe, is obviously the signing of Aveley forward Matt Rush, of course.
Indeed, yes. So, of course, Maystone's first signing since Harry Cipriano, I do believe. I may be wrong on that one, but I think I'm right. But our first attacking signing of the season since the season started. So it's interesting to see that we've got a bit more depth in there. Obviously, Ogo Obi was the latest forward signing before that. Hasn't quite worked out there, but still a very, very good player. Indeed is Matt Rush. And Nigel, taking a look at Matt Rush as a player, obviously we don't know too much about him right now, but we did have a little conversation about him, didn't we, off air, about you've heard of him, you're aware of his time at Southend as quite a prospect, and he's obviously got experience with the likes of Craig Fagan and Levi Manchi as well, so potentially a player who could prove quite useful to the Stones.
Yeah, I think so. And obviously you can look at stats, and it's stats, facts, and damn lies, isn't it? But there's obviously something there they've seen in the player. like we mentioned, he's worked with Craig Fagan in the past at Southend, as did Harriet Kipianu. So that signing's not turned out too bad. He's been in and around the National League South. I mean, he actually did appear for Chelmsford in that game, and we actually won the league for Chelmsford. I don't think he scored because Jackson scored that goal, but he's been in and around the level. Chelmsford, Braintree, all clubs local to us as well. So yeah, it's just that again, Mason have identified the player, tried to get him in the summer, wasn't possible in the summer. Maybe now that we're top end of the league, having a deep run in the FA Cup, finances are a little bit more better. We can get these type of players in. You suddenly become more of an attractive proposition, don't you, to these top end National League South players. And he fits the profile of the signings that we've made so far. Players that have got to that season of National League South, but they're still young enough and they've got that more in the tank to go again to the next level. So he certainly fits the profile, and he's a assists. Was it 10+ assists, isn't it?
Already, yeah, double digits.
I mean, he's got 4 in one game when they beat Aveley beat Havant and Waterlooville. So he's certainly one to look forward to. And they said it on his interview, didn't they? He likes to be sort of like interact with the crowd. He's always been like a crowd's favourite, fans' favourite wherever he's been. So, and again, you look at you said it before in some of your videos, when you look at these different sites to these clubs that he's been to, and they've got nothing positive to say about the player.
Mm-hmm.
You generally know that he's very well thought of, and he's a talent, and all these bloggers and vloggers that we sort of subscribe to have all sort of said, "Oh, good talent." Torquay when he said that he was leaving there, thought that he might be going to them, because they're looking for other options with Aaron Jarvis now being injured, So he's certainly attracting the attention of the bigger end clubs in this league and clubs above. So only good things. So hopefully it all will work out as it has for some of the other signings.
Also to mention about square pegs and round holes we had last season, less so this. Looking through the assist stats, Liam Soul is top with 3. There's lots of others with 2. In terms of a forward-minded, forward-thinking player, an actual forward, as Matt Rush is, to have that many assists and you're playing in the final third is quite a useful thing to have, because you can be a striker that's incredibly unselfish. Because it would not surprise me, at least one of those chances against Havant that he created is one of those he could have potentially gone and taken on himself out of the Jeremy Doku number, as it were, 4 in one game. You'd think that he could potentially take one of those on, and obviously his scoring stats aren't great in the proverbial sense of the numbers are low. You don't know what the chances are like he's having, but he might not be that type of forward player. How wide does he play? Clearly, he's got to be a wide forward rather than a central forward to get 10 assists, because I don't imagine him getting a ball into chest and just laying it off to someone in the 6-yard box
over and over again.
getting half a dozen assists like that and giving half a dozen goals to whoever else is up front for Aveley. I'll say that, and that's probably how they probably got one of the 2 goals against us 2 months ago today, isn't it, to be fair? So again, having the right type of player for the right situation and opposition to play against. Do we need a more creative forward rather than someone who's just going to lamp them in like Levi? So there's going to be certain games where you're going to get Rush over Levi. There's going to be certain games where you're going to need both of them to play.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, having Sol and Ogo in the squad as well, Sol and Ogo, you've got plenty of options.
Yeah, I think we've got a very complete forward line now with the inclusion of Rush, haven't we? Obviously, we have lacked in the team in general someone who is heavily reliant on providing the assists, and I think that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think it's good. Obviously we've seen the likes of Manchester City over the years who, all of their goals coming from different areas and all of their assists come from different areas, midfield picking up half a dozen goals each and that sort of thing. And that's kind of what Maidstone did last time round the National League South. Obviously we had Luke and Barham who kind of run away with it, but we also had Corn picking up a lot of goals, Booty picking up a handful of goals and things like that, a Lowell too. So I think it's good to have a player like Rush in the side. I'm really looking forward to seeing him play, and I think with the systems that we've seen under Ella Kobe, you know, 2 up front, 3 up front, even yesterday against Chesham, 4 up front at times as well, with two wide men. He's definitely someone who could certainly have an impact. And like Nigel said as well, you know, everything you hear about him from Averley, you know, really devastated to see him go. Obviously, making that step up to the full time kind of hybrid football, aside from the part time that Averley play. So he certainly feels like he's ready for that step up. And if he's already performing at that level at a part time club, there's certainly potential for him to improve on that as someone or somewhere that is a little bit more active in their kind of progression and their training and things like that. So certainly looking forward to seeing him, and hopefully we get to see him soon. Obviously couldn't feature in the cup tie against Chesham because he was cup tied, but I'm sure we'll make good use of him in the league.
We're going to have a lot of chances to see him this month, Joe.
Yeah, 9 games in November, 8 to go.
It's a bloody slog, isn't it? It's
yeah, not many left, but
Tuesday. Yeah, it's a long month in November for us off the pitch as well as our boys on the pitch. So yeah, but with their fitness, which obviously told yesterday, for example, at Chesham, hoping that equivalent sides of our league stature, that the boys are going to be able to hold out and who knows, extend the run to 18 undefeated come end of November. Just imagine what that would be like. Wouldn't that be nice?
I couldn't see many people taking much umbrage to that, although some people do seem to think that 3 draws in a row is a problem. But yeah, at least we're not losing games, eh? It's far sight better than last season.
Exactly. I mentioned that at Western, and I'm sure we had the defeat to Bath. We then had 3 draws, and then I assume it was the Averley defeat then. And then it's been the 7-3-1 that we've had since then, isn't it? So, yeah, it depends on what you do after those draws. That's the thing. Clearly, Maidstone have managed to draw, lose, and then draw, win so far this season, when you think about it that way, which isn't great. But at the same time, that's still, 7 out of 18 on a bad run. And obviously, you had 21 out of 21, or, well, probably 9 out of 9, to be fair, because half those sodding games are the cups, aren't they? So, which again, not really an issue because I like the FA Cup, but I'll stop that again.
We're gonna have to just one day put a video up, and Sean is just gonna be.
I like the FA Cup, does he? Yes.
Sean's gonna do his own podcast just on his own, just about the cup. We're just gonna have like rolling questions coming down the screen, but yeah, so obviously a lot to look forward to in terms of the attack in front as well. Nice to see the side bolstered with potentially very, very good player. So we are going to start to wrap things up. We're going to now move on to the Player of the Month vote. Now, of course, it's usually a bit dubious when it gets to this point. I'm going to let Sean go first this time. Usually I go first, but I need a bit of deliberation. I'm torn between the two, so I need an extra couple minutes. But Sean, let us in on your Player of the Month.
Well, it feels like you're going to make me and Nige do the working out for you, and then you're just going to sit some, to be fair. Which I'm going to be honest,
I don't know if I'll have the two that you might go for. So
I'd be very surprised if you did.
He's coming on the decided vote.
Isn't it? Well, he's coming for the tap-in, to be fair, isn't it?
I am. I like a cheeky tap-in.
He's coming in and trying to don't Sol Wanjo it. Apologies. Love you, Levi. No, they're both good and lovely. It's fine.
Excellent players.
Nothing by that. We're bloody happy to have them both there, and everybody else, frankly, at the moment this season. Nigel and I sort of spoke at Nigel a little bit about the Player of the Month thing. I even gave my diplomatic line, but I did not state who I had one over the other. I didn't state who the 2 players were either. So I kept to the script, Joe, and I made sure that we did not speak
the tension
specifically about Player of the Month.
Good.
So I have 2 ahead of the others. I do have to mention, because this was something I wrote down the moment the commentary had finished and the hot take had finished at Western. I have George Fowler in at 3rd place, and it would have been closer if not for his shirt tugging against Western. The last I will mention it, as he's probably sick to death of me saying it, but I'm sure he's enough of a professional to know how to avoid that being an issue going forward. That's the last I'm saying on the Fowler situation. He knows he didn't tug any bugger yesterday from what I could see, so he's clearly listened to me and George and everybody else who's told him to stop bloody doing it. So, yeah, it's a toss-up for me between Levi and Coverland. because they both earned
Surprise, surprise.
either end of the pitch. And from my estimation, I know, we mentioned the stat about the Stones that last conceded via open play 9 matches ago now at Stenning. The last 2 conceded were penalties. And then when you think that Coverland was technically guilty of giving away one of those penalties, I think mathematically you'd probably just about put Levi ahead of Coverland, because Levi won us more points / games during the month of October. And it was a fag paper, it was a vape machine between the 2 players, to be perfectly
Trying to
honest.
reach 2023 audience there.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Try and woke my way in. So for me, barest of margins, Levi over Coverland because of that. It's just they've both won pretty much the same number of points for us this season and what they've done and kept us in games and got us ahead in games. And not to say that it was a penalty that Coverland should have conceded from that, as we've discussed off air as well, saying with the decision that was made, the referee might have had the best of views of Brown being in his way. But the way the results have panned out, I just feel that Levi slightly edges it for me. That's my working out. Nigel, what's your working out, dear? And then we can do all of this for Joe and let him tap in. So, Nigel, your thoughts. Who did you have for Player of the Month?
Well, I agree with all what you said, and I absolutely love Levi. I think he's, long may it continue to do what you're doing, and obviously with what you just said about Coughlin, again, he does the saves, he makes the saves, he makes the difficult saves look simple. I've said it many times in commentary, just that when that ball comes into his chest and he catches it, it's like that position, he makes it look so easy. But I'm going to go for these two. I'm going to go for, and I mentioned it earlier, Sam Bone. I think he's been integral in that position, just sitting in front of that midfield. I mean, and even if you listen to back to the Cheshire manager's assessment of the game yesterday, they said that one of the things that they target before, they've got a very strong midfield, and I think he's integral in that. He keeps that shield in front of the back 3/4, whatever we're playing. Also, he plays a good ball. He played balls up. He gets us going up the pitch as well. So just for an all-round performance, I think you just sometimes you need, obviously Levi and Coughlin get all the headlines, and rightly so. Long may it continue. But sometimes you need somebody in there that's going to be the heartbeat of the team, the grittiness of the team, and do all the dirty work, and not necessarily get applauded. So from my point of view, I'm Sam Bone. So there you go, Joe.
There we go. So that has helped me not at all, but no, I do think I know who I'm going to go with. Unfortunately, my top 2 was very, very close. It was between Coverland and Levi Manchi. Of course, I was in a very similar boat to Sean. I was very much debating Fowler as potentially the reason why we're keeping all the clean sheets. I just think he's a fantastic player. But I just think if we didn't have Lucas in goal, I don't think we'd be seeing the clean sheets we've got. As good as the back line is, I feel like they need that leader behind them. We saw a lot of these players playing last season and not performing to the level we're seeing this season. I think the main reason behind that is because Lucas Coverland is behind them. So therefore, my Player of the Month for October is going to be Lucas Coverland. Just to switch things up, we've got 3 different players as per. I think Levi's a fantastic player. If I could give 2 out, I would, but I just have I think there's an underappreciation for goalkeepers. Obviously, as Sean said, the goalkeeper's always going to get the plaudits. And Nigel's gone with that sort of underdog Player of the Month as well, in terms of someone who does go under the radar, but definitely is one of the main contributors to the team. But for me, I just think Lucas is our star man. I think he's just, a much higher quality than the league, and we're very, very fortunate to have him. So yeah, that is going to wrap up the Player of the Month vote from myself and the boys. So thank you very much, gents, for joining me this evening. It has certainly been a pleasure. Of course, as Sean referenced earlier on, we have got a couple of Stones live commentaries coming up as well. Obviously, we've got Eastbourne up next, I do believe. It's going to be Sean actually just divvying around, going with the old Beeb for that one, isn't it? So
whoever wants me, mate. I'm a bit of a slut. To be honest, when it comes to
Sean's
comedy these days
Sean's
now.
putting it around.
Yeah.
As
If anybody wants to hear it.
that's his nature, and it will be Nigel doing the Eastbourne commentary on Stones Live, of course, with Fred, and then it'll be myself and Connor, of course, someone who's also linked to the channel, doing the Hampton and Richmond game on the road the following Saturday. So do stay tuned for upcoming videos, podcasts, those sort of things, and catch us live as well in the coming weeks. So thank you all so very much for watching, gents. Thank you very much for joining me as well.
Pleasure.
And we'll see you all in the next one.